Hello and welcome back to Social Hour. I'm Megan,
And I'm Sarah.
and this is episode 4. So let's do a little weekly recap. What have you been up to? How's your week going?
My week's been a hot mess.
Oh
When
no.
we were filming last week's episode, I just was not feeling well. Like I didn't know like why or what. I just felt like so crappy. And then lo and behold, the next day I started my period, went through that whole cycle. And so thought that I was going to be like good cuz I'm pretty sure this was my first period on my medicine. No, it wasn't a mental thing. It's clearly something that's going on in my body because had me doing the works again. So that led me to call off on Monday, unfortunately. And then like I thought I'd feel better, but like I never really did. So then it was Tuesday and I was FaceTiming you and you're like, just DoorDash a COVID test. Just DoorDash a COVID test. So then finally, reluctantly, I did. I tested positive for COVID in like 3 minutes of doing the test.
Well,
So
yeah, because you were very obviously sick. It wasn't just like, period or whatever. You were like sick. You had a stuffy nose. You were kind of, all
yeah,
that.
and I get sick a lot from like the daycare. Granted, COVID was going around, but normally it's just like a slight little cold GI thing, and then like I'm good. But yeah, so that had me down and out for the first half of the week, which was honestly a blessing in disguise because it brings me into my next thing, which is my financial stuff that I've said last week that I wanted to start working on. And so on one of the days when I was sick, I started going through my finances, getting all my bills in order and all of that. And I just went through and knocked them all off. I paid them all, talked to the insurance company, talked to the medical company. It was just, it was so much, but I did
Yeah,
it.
you were calling all around everywhere, like all day.
Yeah, like I think I took my medicine that day, but I'm like, I need to call and just get this all figured out so this is not in the back of my mind. And then, not that I want to get into many details, but I thought I had taken out a loan when I was younger. My mother put me on a wild goose chase to find out that this was just a random letter that I had gotten in the mail of what could have been a loan. So
Yeah.
I was calling the US Department of Education. I was calling the financial aid, like the government and just like all of that. All for them to tell me that I have no federal loan out in my name right now. So go
Yeah, it was
you.
basically just a company trying to get you to get a loan through them, but the way that they worded it was really weird. It almost felt like they were telling you that you had a loan with them instead of they were kind of trying to get you to get a loan with them. So it was very confusing, the wording. So we wanted to call around everywhere just to make sure there was no loan from 5 years ago somewhere out there that you haven't paid or whatever.
Right. That like this is something that I will not forget. This has been yeah, that was wild.
Dude, financial stuff is really stressful.
It is.
And it can be kind of confusing and it can be very convoluted and sometimes you never know who's doing what, who's paying what, like who you have to pay, who you have to call. It can be it's very stressful.
Yeah, because I just have like this underlying feeling that 30 years from now, I'm going to get a letter in the mail and it's going to be like, you owe thousands of dollars. So I'm just like trying to cover all my bases. So I'm good in the future, you
And you
know?
had COVID while doing all of that.
Yeah. So I got like double punched for my period in COVID and then knocked out a bunch of adulting stuff, which felt pretty good.
Damn.
So, okay. And then for my last thing this week, which has been also like so bad is my mosquito bites. The mosquitoes this year are so bad. And like, I feel like I can't even walk outside for 2 minutes without getting three or four like all over my leg. And they're itchy for days.
Wait,
They're
I have
like,
a question.
what?
Is it just as bad as when we were in Texas? Do you remember how bad that was, the mosquitoes? It was like full body. You went outside for 30 seconds, you had 10 bites.
No, I feel like I don't even see the mosquitoes at all. Like I don't if I saw them outside, I would go and put on bug spray or I would just go inside. But when I'm out there for like 5 minutes just to water my plants and go pick my vegetables. I come back in and I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" And it's just I don't realize like I have them like until I come inside and they're
Yeah,
like
and if you're only going out there for 5 minutes, I hate the feeling of bug spray. Then you stink and you have like you like the smell is so strong and you feel sticky and you feel gross and then it's like, okay, I have to go outside for 5 minutes, water my flowers, and then I have to take a shower when I get back in just because I had to put bug spray on.
honestly, while you bring that up, when I come inside from out in like my garden, I have one, two, three raised beds, a tomato barrel thingy, and sunflowers. And whatever's out there, like, gets my skin very irritated. Like, I come in and I'm breaking out and like rashes. And they're just
Oh,
like, they're honestly like a little bit itchy. So I pretty much do have to like come inside when I'm done, like actually working out in the garden and like full body shower because I don't know what
that's
it is
nuts.
that like irritates my skin, but it gets it very red and irritated. Yeah. But on another note, how was your week?
Well, on the opposite note as your week, sorry, but my week was really good.
I love that for you.
So I did my move to Boston. I drove from upstate New York to Boston. And while it was very stressful, like very anxiety inducing because I've never lived in a big city before, um, I have been really loving it here. It's a really nice. As soon as I was pulling into the city, just seeing all the buildings and the people and the lights, it just has such an energy that put me in such a good mood right away. And even though it's kind of scary because it's unfamiliar, it's been really cool. I'm really enjoying it.
Now, do you find yourself wanting to go outside and like venture around more? Or like what's that been like versus upstate New York?
Oh my God. When I was in New York, I was there for 2.5 weeks and I did leave the house a few times just to go to the post office or the grocery store or something like that. But I really only left the house maybe once or twice a week when I was in New York. It was really bad. I was just in the house almost every day. Some days I didn't even walk outside on the deck or anything like that. And here I've been in Boston for 4 days and I've gone outside every day. I've gone for a walk every day because you have to walk to do everything. And even when I don't feel like leaving the apartment, it's just so easy to just walk outside and go for a walk because it's safe and everybody's walking around and there's so much to look at and so much to do. And so, one thing I wanted to talk about with Boston that I think is really interesting is because it's a city, everything is kind of done more frequently and smaller. So everything is smaller. Like the dishwasher is mini, so you just do your little dishes and you run it probably every day because you don't have that many dishes in there. The trash cans are mini because you have this tiny little bag of trash and when it's full you bring it to the thing and then they take the trash because they don't want to deal with huge trash bags full of trash because they have to do it so often in the city. And then groceries, that's mini too because you go get a few things or like one bag of groceries from the grocery store because you have to walk and carry it back. So people just go more frequently and they just get less stuff. So you go to the grocery store and you just pick up one bag full of groceries or whatever you need for that day and the next day or something like that. When I feel like I don't know if it was just me personally or if it was where we live, but we always do things in bulk. It's like if you're going grocery shopping, if you're going to Costco or Meijer, you stock up on as much as you can so that you don't have to go grocery shopping very often. And obviously, you have a car. And so it was like I was only grocery shopping once or even maybe once every 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. I It's funny that you say that because I've seen definitely on TikTok other people on like how they grocery shop when they like walk you through it like step by step and how frequently they go. And it's funny because I personally would rather just buy my groceries like in bulk and like not have to go to the store as much. But then with that comes so much food waste and I feel so bad. And then it's just like I'm stressed out because I'm not eating the food and then it's going bad and then just all of this stuff that goes with that. But
Yeah.
dad, if he had it his way, he'd go to the store almost every day. for like
Really?
what yes, for whatever meals. For a long time, we would just get in the habit of like after school, we'd like text about what we wanted for dinner. He would go pick up the stuff and then come home and make it. And then it would be just like that. And then we'd have like consistent meals, but also we weren't wasting as much. And
Yeah.
I really strayed him away from that, but honestly, that might
I
be a
think it's
really good
actually
idea.
I think it's actually a healthier way to live in general because when you go so often, you're not stressed about things going bad and you're not stressed about, oh, well, I can only get this many berries because berries go bad in a few days and I can only get this much fresh fruit or fresh vegetables or lettuce or whatever because it goes bad in a few days. But when you're
Mhm.
getting tiny little servings of it and you go more often, you're eating all of that and it's not going bad and it's very healthy because you're getting fresh fruits and vegetables and you're only getting what you need to make that day. So you don't have a fridge full of junk or a cabinet full of junk. And you're cooking more and you're kind of meal prepping more because you just have one thing to focus on. You get what you need for that one meal and then you make it.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea, and we might start to try to implement that here as well.
Yeah. And so I think that's going to take some getting used to for me, but I think it's going to be good for me because one thing that I struggle with is kind of like all or nothing thinking. So it's like if I'm going to clean the house, I have to clean the whole house and it's going to take me all day. If I'm going grocery shopping, I have to stock up for the next 2 weeks or what's the point of going? It's like it's almost like to me when I start doing something, I need to make it worth it or something. I think it's also an ADHD thing. It's hard to start a task but when you start that task, you have a hard time stopping the task or you want to do everything all at once. So even just like doing the dishes more often, it's kind of getting me used to this mindset of like, oh, it doesn't have to be this huge deal that, oh, the dishes are done. I have to do the dishes. And it's like, I'm dreading doing it because I know there's a whole thing full of it and it's going to take forever. But no, it's literally just a tiny little dishwasher. It's going to take me 2 minutes to unload it or like to take the trash out or to do the laundry. It's like I'm doing laundry more often because there's only two washers in there. And I have to carry it all the way. So I don't want it to be too heavy. And same for groceries. You have to carry them. So you don't want them to be too heavy. And so that's even healthier for people too, because they don't end up getting things like soda or like bad drinks because they're so heavy and stuff like that.
Yeah, all the junk foods and whatnot that would just weigh down additional to your produce and whatnot that you have.
Yeah, so I really am leaving the house a lot more often because I just have to walk around to do everything.
That
And I have to go grocery shopping more often, which sucks, but I think it's good because like we talked about last time, the more you have to do something, the repetition, it just makes it easier. So I think for me that this is going to be really good because the more I have to clean, the more often I do the dishes and take out the trash and do all these things that I kind of build up in my head like it's really hard or it's really a big deal. You get so used to doing them so often that it's not going to have to be a big deal anymore. I think it's really going to help my mindset, is what I'm trying to say, living in a city, because there's just like an energy and I feel so productive and energetic here.
yeah, I almost feel like there's like a flow and you have to like hop on board or
Yeah, there
get
is.
off in
Yeah.
like the city or else I don't
Yeah.
know. Cuz
And
didn't you tell me that just even walking around is so fast paced and you're in the line of moving or you need to get out of the line to like stop and like admire whatever you're looking at.
yeah, even when you're walking around, you kind of keep the pace of everyone around you, and people walk pretty fast. So even last night, oh, I need to talk about the concert too. But last night, I was walking back from the concert, and I was really smart about it too. I was kind of nervous to be walking in a city at 10:30 at night because I'm just not a city person, and it can be kind of scary. You don't know what to expect, especially if you're not used to it. And so what I would do is I would plan my route, I would see what the map was telling me to do, which way I needed to go, and I would look around me and I was like, okay, which groups of people where are they going? Are they going this way or that way? And then I would literally fall in with these big groups and I would use their route to get like to where I needed to go. And then if there was another group, I would hop in with them. And so basically I just ended up between all these groups of people walking. And so I was never walking alone at night because I was always with people. And there was like one way it wanted me to go. And I looked and it was very dark. Like there wasn't a lot of of lights on that road and I didn't see a lot of people. And I was like, not going that way. I'm just going to go this way and go around and walk with these people. And so that helped me feel really safe. And then we're walking up this steep hill. There's so many hills here. And if I was walking by myself up a very steep hill, I would have been walking pretty slow because it's
Oh
very
my
hot.
God.
And these people were walking so fast.
And you
And
were
I
trying
was
to
just
keep
like,
up with them.
I was literally, I felt like I was on a hike. I was just trudging up this hill like so fast. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, everything is just kind of like quick here. It's so funny.
That is really funny.
Yeah, but I was telling you the other day that I think it's so funny to be talking about this like I've lived here forever when I've been here for 4 days, but I think living in a city is almost gives me more confidence because everything gives me anxiety. Like I get nervous to leave at all. I was like the first time I have to do something, I'm not good at doing something new when I don't know what to expect. So the first time I had to go grocery shopping here, or the first time I had to figure out a parking garage or unload my stuff into the apartment, or even go the first time I went to the park to go for a walk, I was just nervous. I was scared to do it. And I try to talk myself out of it, kind of. But living here, I feel like has given me more confidence because I've overcome every single one of these things. I was scared to do it, but I did it anyways. And doing that over and over and over again, it's like, wow, I can do the hard things that I was scared to do. And I think it's actually helping my anxiety.
I was going to ask you now, what do you feel like your level of anxiety is from the first time that you did like these outings to like now? Granted, it's been 4 days, but what can you tell that has changed?
So I still need to work myself up to leave the house, which I don't think that has to do with the city. I think that's just me in general because I had the same issue living at home in Michigan. And so I was trying to actually figure it out yesterday, and I was trying to figure out if it's social anxiety or if it's ADHD because people with ADHD can really struggle with transitions. And so transitioning from a place that's like your safe place to something else, or transitioning from activity to activity, or transitioning from being in the house to leaving the house. Those things are kind of hard to just make yourself do. But then once I'm outside, I'm totally fine. I'm walking around like I own the place. I'm totally fine. But it's like the transition of doing it. So I do still kind of need to work myself up to do that. But I don't think that part is social anxiety. I think that's just part of the ADHD difficulty with transitions and like executive function, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that about transitioning and being able to pinpoint that because working in like a child development center, there are many children who struggle with transitions and I'm like all about focusing on how to make the transitions easier and like more flowing in the classroom and whatnot. And I didn't even think about it for like transitions like with myself personally
Yeah.
because you and I have both talked about just like the struggle of getting into the shower.
I
And like
yes, getting into the shower is one of the biggest things that made me realize I struggled with transitions because I'm fine once I'm in the shower. It's hard to make yourself do that transition.
it is very difficult. And just like I called you this morning, I'm like, we have an hour till we film. Like, I'm just calling you so that you can be my accountability for me to get out of bed because I need to do it like now. And then
It's
like
really
I got
hard.
up. Yeah.
You
But
know what the best thing that I've been able to do, I think, is you have to catch yourself before you let yourself even think about it. When you think the thought to do something, you literally have to get up right then and there and start to go to do it. You can't let yourself think about it because you're going to talk yourself out of it. So it's like if you have this thought like, oh, I'm looking at the dishwasher and it's full, I should probably do that. And then you're like, oh, but I wanted to do this first and I wanted to do that first. And oh, maybe I should make a to-do list and write dishes on the to-do list. And then, well, maybe I should do this first. And like, oh, well, I don't want to get off the couch. And then you're so overwhelmed that you just scroll on your phone and you never do the dishes. But
mhm.
if you get into the habit of like, you have this thought, oh, I should probably do the dishes, stand up and start walking in that direction. That's
Yeah.
literally all you have to do. Stand up and start walking towards the thing. And then you'll realize that you can just do that thing and it will take you literally 2 minutes. And by the time you made your to do list, you could have finished the dishes. You know what I mean? At least for me, that's what my thing is. So when I'm struggling to leave the house, I try not to think about it too hard. I just start putting my shoes on and I just start doing my checks of like, do I have my wallet? Do I have my phone? What do I need? Like, and then another thing for me is doing research and planning. I actually, before I went to the store, I was so scared. I didn't know what to expect. I was like, well, this is a big city. Do they have shopping carts? Do people bring carts? What do they do? So I went on Google and I looked at the photos and I was scrolling through all the photos of the store, like trying to get familiar with like the layout of the store and what people are doing and if they're having carts or if they're holding baskets. And like, it sounds so stupid, but like,
But
I
that's
think
so smart. That's so
but
smart.
yeah, so like the more information I have about something, the more comfortable I feel going to do it. And then I feel better next time about doing it because I know what to expect.
Oh yeah, and I definitely feel the same way too of like if I'm in like an unknown place or whatever, I like to do my research online of like see where I'm going, where I'm at, like what's near me and
What's the
what
parking situation like?
yeah, exactly. And just so that I have like a better idea. And one thing that like helps so much is just TikTok too. Of just like
Yeah.
looking on TikTok of around just to see like what other people are saying about it and if there are big topics on what you're looking up and whatnot. Cuz other
Yeah,
people probably have that anxiety too.
oh, I know. I've definitely seen people on TikTok making jokes about how they look up the parking situation. And I was like, that's so relatable. Like, I do that too. But
Mhm.
I usually use Google Photos. It's really helpful. I do that for almost every new place I go, not in like a crazy way, but just really quick, just to see what to expect. And I want to see what the outside of it looks like so that I know what I'm looking for and stuff like that. Um,
Cuz you are only a girl in the city and you also need to make sure you're being safe too
Yeah, that's true.
about
One thing that I haven't conquered yet here is public transportation. And
Mhm.
so they have this little subway thing that's called the T. And so I was watching TikTok videos of people riding it so that I could see what they do because I'm like, what do you do? Like, do you pay? Do you have a card? And so you get this card and then you put money on it or something. I still don't know how the card works, but then you scan it to get in and like all this stuff. And I'm like, I need to figure out this whole process before I go, or else I'm never gonna go use it because I'm so scared. Like I don't want to. I don't really know what the fear is. Like I'm going to get there and I'm not going to know what to do. It's like, okay, so what? Then you ask a worker or like you just ask for help. But for me, I'm like, no, I don't want to ask for help. I want to know how to do everything. I want to not look like an idiot.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I feel that way. But what if you even just like made that as your like not event for the day, but like your outing for the day? Just going to the station and getting down there and venturing it out and then trying to see if you can eat like try to get on the train to go somewhere and then wherever you go, like maybe like try to find something to do and make like a fun event out of it, but just
Well,
to like get
I
more
was
comfortable and so you're not like riding it for the first time like on your way to something that you have a like an appointment for.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to do is there's a really nice big farmer's market, but it's like a solid 25-minute walk, I think, which is like kind of far if you're going to be carrying like vegetables and stuff back with
Right.
you. And there's a subway stop right across the street from me, I think, and then also right across the street from that place. And so you only have to walk like 2 minutes each time. And so I think that's going to be my first try that I use it. And that thing's on Tuesdays and Fridays, I think. So I think on Tuesday that might be my goal because today is Sunday and we're going to put this out on Monday. But I think Tuesday that might be my goal of what I try to do is like use the little subway.
Ooh, that's exciting. I can't wait for an update on that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, so now transitioning onto more recent topics that's going on in the world right now. Have you been watching the Olympics at all or anything?
I've seen some clips on TikTok, but not really.
Yeah. Okay, so real I don't like I'm not like a diehard. I love to watch sports type of like a thing, but like I love the Olympics. They're like so like interesting to me and just like seeing the best of the best from like everybody in the world like competing and whatnot. It's wild to me.
Wow,
But
I didn't know you liked the Olympics.
yeah, I really do. And okay, I can be a bad explainer, but the Olympics always felt like ah, to me, and just like so high up and so far away, and like you like I don't know. Like I couldn't go like to the Olympics or whatever. But now through like high school rowing and college rowing and like knowing people who have like been able to train with like the national team and stuff like that, it's just like a next step up. And so to see all these athletes at this one large event where every sport is all like playing at the same time, and it's just I can't even imagine the excitement that's going on there. And it I don't know. I think it's so
Yeah,
cool.
that's
But so
funny.
the three sports that I wanted to just like briefly talk about or mention, the first one's obviously rowing. Have you heard anything about the men's rowing at all?
Literally nothing about rowing.
Okay. So the men's four, it is like a normal like rowing boat, and it doesn't have a coxswain in it. They won first place for the first time since I think for the first time in 64 years they won
Who, the
gold.
US team?
Yeah, the men's US four. And so that was really exciting, just like watching them like on the water and all of that. And then
Yeah.
another sport that I think is so cool, but I wouldn't get all like into it because it's very dangerous and that just was also very scary. But surfing, I think that is so cool to watch as well.
Wait, wait, stop. They had a surfing thing in Paris?
Oh, just wait. Okay,
What do
so
you mean?
so in Paris, all the other Olympic games were held and whatnot.
Yeah.
And 10,000 miles away in Tahiti, in because that's one of like the best waves in like the entire world. It's called Teopo. And what creates this Teopo, if I'm saying it right, wave is the fact that so there's like a reef up like closer towards the shore, and I think the reef is about 12 feet from like deep or whatever in the water. And so like when all of the water is rushing in from like the deeper depths of the ocean, it's like 150 feet up to 12 feet. So it's like there's so much water rushing in to hit like that's hitting the reef, and then it all
Yeah.
like barrels over. And so they are getting the most picture perfect just like photos for this Olympic like games for surfing and whatnot. And there was one guy who he was like in the barrel, and like when they're do you know what the barrel is? It's like when the
Yeah, yeah,
water
yeah.
curls over or whatever. And so he was like going in the barrel, and I didn't know this until just recently, but there's just compressed air in there. And so like all of the air has to shoot out in like the way that the wave curves, and it's called like spit. So like the barrel spits it out. And so like this guy came out, he couldn't see anything. He had both of his hands up like
Oh,
this. And then
I saw a guy's butt. Is that what
yeah,
you're
I
talking about?
no, I did see that one too. That one was funny. But he was like he couldn't see anything, and then he made it out of the barrel. He knew he just rocked that wave. And so
Yeah.
he did one of like the most picture perfect poses. He like launched off his board. He like shot his finger up in the air. His board was next to him. We have to put in the photo. It's so
Oh
cool.
my god,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to show me that.
So I don't know. That's just
Wait, so they have they have the surfing part all the way in Tahiti. Is
yeah,
that the only one that's in a different place? That's crazy. I
I
mean, I guess
think
it makes sense, but
I think so, but I don't know exactly where like the men's rowing was. I just do not know at all. But the reason that they chose Tahiti is, and I'm
well, yeah,
not
the waves and stuff, right?
well, no, but don't fact check me on this. But it's like something French Polynesia or something like that. So it's a part
Oh, it's like
of like the
connected to
French,
France
yeah.
somehow.
So
Oh,
that's
okay.
how they were like able to do it or whatever is what I've
Yeah.
learned. But yeah, so that stuff is wild, and I've seen all of that on just TikTok and watching like the games and whatnot. And then my most favorite sport to watch is gymnastics. Gymnastics
Yeah.
is so cool. Have you heard any of the US women's gymnastics team?
I saw the interview that Simone Biles did afterwards where she talked about what happened with her thing and like why she messed up.
Gotcha. So I'm not exactly talking about that, but this is more so like tea with like the team. So there was a girl named Michaela Skinner, and I think she was on the US women's gymnastics team last time the Olympics
Mhm.
came around. And so this time she had recorded a YouTube video and posted it. And some of the comments that she had said was that the talent and the depth just isn't what it used to be. Their work ethic isn't what it used to be, and they don't work as hard. They don't
She
work
was
nearly.
talking about her own team like that?
She was talking about the current women's Olympic team.
Oh, so she was on it last year, but not this year?
Yeah, the
Or
last.
last Olympics, but
Yeah.
not this one?
And
Oh,
she
okay.
basically said all of that stuff about all the girls on the team except for Simone Biles. And she like totally like said, except for Simone, blah, 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 blah.
Oh.
And so then Michaela Skinner has won a silver medal for whatever she did last time. And so she released that video and then took it down. And then when the women's US gymnastics team placed gold, Simone Biles posted on her Instagram. Her caption was "lack of talent, lazy Olympic champions" with like a gold medal and
No way.
whatever other emoji. Yeah. So
Oh
then they
my
did.
god.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, like I don't know. She just shut her up.
Clap back, yeah.
Yeah, she definitely clapped back. And then apparently there was one video of Michaela Skinner that's like pinned on her TikTok. And you know the song where it's like bitches come and go, but you
Yeah,
know
but
I
you know what
stay.
I mean?
Yeah. And so she had her like silver medal like in front of her face or whatever. And then Simone and the girls on the Olympic team this year duetted that. And then they played like the like sound as they're like biting their gold medals. And they duetted
Like
for
the
that.
sound where you're eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that TikTok, but I didn't know that was in response. The one I saw wasn't a duet, it was just them eating the medals, but
Yeah. I was like, wow.
well,
I'm
yeah,
so
that's
here
just
for it.
I mean, that just kinda sucks, like, talk shit on people going to the Olympics in your own sport that you were on the team last time. It's like, okay, let's be, like, I don't know, encouraging or something.
Exactly. And I don't know how much you know about this, but there's been so much stuff like going on in the gymnastics world in just like the past decade with like the Larry Nasser's stuff of do you know about that?
Yeah,
About how he like mistreated, he was a doctor for gymnasts and
yeah.
he was even a doctor at Michigan State. And yeah, so like that has long-term effects like on all of those gymnasts and stuff like that. And since then, from what I know to be true is there's been more rules and stuff implemented to not work the girls as hard and just like mentally drain them and beat them in the way that they talk to them and all of this stuff. And so now it's like it's more what am I trying to say?
Like, there's more rules about how much they're allowed to train.
Yes, there's more rules and regulations about how the girls can train and whatnot to ultimately protect them. And so
Yeah,
like now that these girls are using these things to help them to their advantage and whatnot, now they're being made fun of by other people from not working as hard and whatnot. But
yeah.
I don't know. It just goes to show that if you do take the time to focus on your mental health and have a team that's not necessarily all pitted against each other, but it's a loving and supportive team, that just goes to show that that can do better than what the old was like.
Yeah, well, you should really watch the clip that I saw of Simone Biles' interview. I think it was with Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy. But I only saw a clip of it, but it was really good because Simone Biles was talking about how I guess on her vault, I think it was, she lost herself in the air. Like she lost track of her spins and she landed weirdly and everybody was like shocked, including her team and everything. And she talks about how she had to kind of not let her team show how shook she was about it too. She held herself together until afterwards because like she was very shook about it too, but she's like the senior person or whatever on the team, so she had to keep them together and encourage them, and she basically tagged in the next person. I think it was like Jordan or something, but she was basically like, you're up, like I'm done. I can't do it anymore, because she's literally so lucky that she even just landed on her feet and not hurt herself really bad, you know.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure this just got released. It's called Simone Biles Rising. And so the situation that you're talking about happened in the last Olympics. And so this Olympics was her comeback. And so she like totally like cracked like mentally back at the, I think it was the Tokyo Olympics. So like this whole past like 4 years from then till now was her like building her confidence, getting it back, and like all of this stuff. And so she talks about it a lot in Simone Biles Rising, and I just watched that. So that's another like reason why I'm so like amped up on gymnastics and stuff right now. It's really
Oh,
good.
I didn't know they were talking about the Tokyo Olympics. I thought that was from the most recent one, because they didn't give
Mm-mm.
any context. That was the only clip I saw, that she was interviewing her about like what happened. So obviously I
Yeah.
figured it was from this previous one, but I just looked it up and it says they were she was asked, the interview was in 2024, but she was asking her about what happened
Mhm.
last time. Okay.
And I just got goosebumps because I'm pretty sure Simone like nailed her like vault this year and like
Oh, I need to go watch
totally
that
just like
now.
like just I don't know.
Wait, so what's this Simone Rising? Is it a documentary?
Yeah, it talks about what ultimately led her to break in Tokyo, and just everything that was going on in her mind. And it also does talk about a little bit of the Larry Nasser stuff and how that affected, and honestly most of the stuff that I was telling you about just in like the past 15 minutes
Oh, I'll
is
have to watch that.
I learned from that. But
Because
yeah.
all she was talking about in the little clip that I saw was like the twisties. Did she explain that at all in the
Yeah.
documentary?
Mhm.
Yeah, like how she got the twisties. And I was like, people in the comments weren't really getting it. And I get it, because it's like when you start to think too hard about something, you almost forget how to do it, even if you know how to do it. It's like, for me, it was like when I would try to teach people how to crochet, I don't know how I do it. I just start moving my hands and it
Yeah.
happens. And then when you think too hard about it, I'm like, wait, how do I even move the hook? Which way do I do the string? And you can't, you don't know. And then you stop thinking so hard about it and you start doing it again naturally. And like, obviously that's a really silly example, but I can understand how someone with that much pressure, when they start thinking too hard about something, you almost forget how to do it, because you're thinking about it and you have to just stop thinking about it to let your body take over. And it's like your body and your mind aren't together. And so she was explaining that was what happened. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. I have so much respect for her. She is
Yeah,
like
she's really
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not her husband. Have you seen
Yeah,
the clips of him?
yeah, I've seen like the clips of like about him and stuff and how he talks about her and whatnot. But then you see him portrayed a certain way in like the Simone Biles Rising, and I just hope she has a happy life.
Well, wait,
I
was
just
the
hope
Simone
he
Biles Rising, is that new?
Yeah, I don't know exactly when it came out.
Well, I don't know.
Oh,
They can portray whatever they want.
more episodes coming this fall. So I wonder if they were doing
Oh,
past Olympics and now maybe post
yeah.
Olympics and how she did. I'm excited. Um okay, so now changing the subject just a little bit. Um I have a question for you. Actually changing the
Okay.
subject a lot. So you were previously married
Uh-huh.
and you had changed your name.
Yep.
What's your viewpoint on getting married now?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, up until the last few years, I actually did want kids still, which I definitely don't anymore. So that actually changes things a lot for me, because I was thinking I would want to get married if I had kids. You know, I want them to get to have married parents with the same last name, and I would have wanted to have the same last name as my husband and my kids, you know what I mean? But now that I don't want kids anymore, I don't really know how I feel about marriage. I think eventually I might get married again. I don't think it would be a big deal. I might just do some sort of small private ceremony somewhere special or somewhere destination or something like that. But yeah, I that's a hard one because
Because from what I understood about it is you like don't even have an interest in dating right now. So like you're
oh yeah,
so content living by yourself, and if somebody did come into the picture, then just it's an extra bonus for you, right?
yeah, but actually when you put it that way and I think about that situation actually happening, I would want to eventually get married, yeah.
Okay.
Just
So,
because I feel like that's a good commitment, and I wouldn't
cuz
this
it's a
sounds
true
stupid, but
commitment.
I wouldn't wanna be like, "Oh, yeah, I've had a boyfriend for the past 15 years." Like, "This is my boyfriend, we've been together for 15 years." That's crazy to me. I would rather say my husband just to prove, like, we're serious or something, you know?
Yeah, just and maybe it's the way society's like made it out to be, but yeah, I've had a boyfriend for 15 years. I don't know.
Yeah, and,
But it's all
it would take
personal
y
preference.
yeah, and it would take a lot for me to get married again. Like, I would have to be, and now I know. Now I kind of know what to look for and what not to look for, but I would really, really have to be surely set on marriage. And I'd be totally fine dating for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or something before I did get
Yeah.
married, you know?
Mhm. Okay, so let's say you met somebody and there is a wedding on the books. Are you changing your last name again?
No.
Would
Nope.
would you have your own last name and your husband have his, or would you have a conversation about him changing his last name to yours?
If he wanted to take my last name, I would be totally fine with that. But I don't really care either way. I don't care if we have the same last name, but I definitely don't want to change my last name again.
Gotcha. I think for me, I feel so strongly about our last name. We have such a good last name, Miles.
Yeah.
Like,
Miles, it's a really good name, Megan Miles. Everybody always says I have, like, a superhero name. They're like, "Megan Miles."
yeah, like,
I'm
so
like,
you have
Sarah Miles. We have a really good last name, I really like it.
yeah, and my nicknames all throughout my life have just been like Smiles because like you take the first letter of my first name and then Miles, and so all of like just Smiles.
Wait, I have something funny. Do you ever realize that I have 3 siblings and all of them are S's and I'm the only M? And so
That's
you guys get
weird.
to both be S Miles, Smiles, and I'm not. I'm the
Yeah,
only M. I have 3 siblings and they're all S's.
I
Isn't that
didn't even
weird?
realize that. Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah, because even my mom is like a different dad or and whatever, and that's not even your brother, but my brother's name starts with an S too. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Yeah.
I definitely would have a conversation with trying to have my husband change his last name.
Would
Eh,
you hyphenate your name?
I don't like the hyphenated name
I know, I
look.
don't either. It's so confusing and it's so long.
Okay, here we go. So, I don't like the hyphenated name look, but I also I feel like there's 1% chance of me where it's gonna work out where I meet somebody and, like, I'm just gonna be so into it, I guess, to where, like, I would just, like, want his last name
Yeah.
or just I don't know. I feel like there's very defining circumstances of when I would, like, take somebody's last name, but I would definitely push to take my last name. But I did see this TikTok recently of this girl actually, haha, it's not TikTok. It's from All American. I was watching this one episode and they went to, like, a quince, and this girl who was being honored for her quince had a hyphenated last name.
Mhm.
And the mom went to explain as to why she had the hyphenated last name because she's part her mom, but she's also part her dad. So instead of I think her mom had her maiden name, her dad had his name. And so the daughter hyphenated her name because she's like half of each. And just, I don't know. It like, does that make sense or no?
Yeah, but I don't really like that either. Would you do that to your kids? Because if you don't want a hyphenated last name, I wouldn't make them have one right from the get-go.
No, I wouldn't do that unless, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so if you did get married and you wanted to keep your last name and your husband didn't want to change his last name to yours, would you be fine having you and your husband having different last names and then your kids taking your husband's last name and not having the same last name as you? Because that was what was really tripping me up. If I had kids, I didn't want to have a different last name as my kids. I wanted it to be very clear that they were my kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's another thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's hard. But when you said you could see yourself maybe if you're into it enough changing your name, there is like a scenario I could see myself changing my name again. I'm picturing myself, being so sure, being so in love and so into that person that if they had a cool last name. If they had a shitty last name, I don't think I'd do it. But if they had a cool last name, then I could see myself maybe changing it again.
Right, and I have 2 things to say about that. One, since I've always felt so strongly about my last name, is it a good scenario to where I'm, like, so head over heels for somebody where I would change my last name? Is that, like would that be a bad thing if I did, like,
I don't think
change?
so. I think some people might say that's a bad thing, like, I don't know, it's like anti-feminist or something, but I could see myself doing the same thing. Like you just love that person so much and you just want to be part of them and feel like you guys are the same family and just have that connection. You know what I mean?
Right. Or I could see a scenario if, like okay, so your ex, he was a what? Like a was he like a 2nd or 3rd or something like that?
Um the third, he was the third,
He was
yeah.
the 3rd. So, like, and one of my coworkers, her son, I think is the 2nd or the 3rd, and so, like, that family means so much to me, and if my husband's coming from a side of the family that, like, they're all family oriented and the name means so much, it's so prideful to them, like, that's something that I could see myself, like, okay, then I would change my last name and, like, if I had like, when I have kids or whatever, they would take I would be okay with, like, my kid taking, like, a 2nd or 3rd or whatever.
Yeah, but I think this is actually also just about respect because if your husband is absolutely appalled that you would even ask him to maybe change to your last name, if he's like, I would never take a woman's last name, why would I do that? Blah, blah, blah. If there's no respect there and he wouldn't even consider it, then hell no, I'm not taking your last name and I'm probably not even going to marry you because you just had the respect to say, if it's very important to him and his family, then I would change my last name if he had that same respect for you. Because if he understands how important your last name is to you, and you guys could have an honest conversation, and he really considered taking your last name because of the importance to you, and it was a respectful conversation that goes both ways, not just you're expected that you have to change your name because you're a woman, then I think that's a totally different scenario.
And I'm so glad we just recorded that on a podcast right now because you took the words exactly out of my brain. Cause like I've been thinking that, but I just like have never been able to put it into words. But it comes down to a sign of respect.
Yeah, and we talked about this the other day when you asked me if you got married again, would you do your husband's laundry? And we were talking about how that's also just a thing of respect because if we split the chores and I decided that I don't mind doing laundry, then yeah, I would do his laundry. Only if it wasn't expected of me that I would have to do the laundry because I'm a woman. You know what I mean? It would have to be a thing of respect. Like if he didn't mind doing the laundry, he'd be the one doing the laundry. Or if I'm doing the laundry, then he does the dishes. Or maybe if I'm having a really bad day or a really bad week, he surprises me and does the laundry or something like that, where it's like a thing of respect, mutual respect, not just expectations of you that you need to be in a certain role because he expects it of you because you're a woman. That's crazy. And that's not something either of us would deal with.
Yes. That is crazy, extremely crazy. And I'm so happy that I think there's probably I don't know, I wouldn't say probably a time where we both maybe would have gone with the flow in relationships, but there have definitely been times where we are so much mentally stronger now and know what we want versus 5 years ago in the
Yeah, I think
relationships
there
and
was a
stuff that we
time
were put in.
when we would have listened more about what we thought we were supposed to do rather than thinking for ourselves what we want to do and things like that because when I was married, I did do the laundry, but it was a respect thing. He would have done the laundry if I didn't want to do it. It
Your
wasn't like
guys'
I had to.
relationship was very respectful. There was no ill
Yeah.
feelings or anything, till the
No.
end.
No, and we were both very respectful, and we would have just talked about it like, "Oh, I hate laundry," and then he would have done the laundry or whatever, we split a lot of stuff.
Okay, so kind of shifting our conversation here, still focusing on relationships, but this can be, I want you to think of this like of all of the relationships in your life, but love languages. If you
Ooh,
had
yeah.
to think about what your love language is, what's your love language for other people?
Oh, like how I show
How,
love to other people.
yes, how do you show love to other people?
Oh, actually, that's interesting because when you asked me to think about this, I was thinking about it as like one as if they were both the same. So like if my love language is blah blah blah, then that's the way I show love and receive love, but
But it's not.
that's not. It's
No.
not because I just realized that when I was thinking about it, one of the ways that I like to receive love, I think, is words of affirmation. I'm very bad at giving words of affirmation. I don't tell people usually. I really need to start doing this more, but I don't tell people like I don't know. I'm not good at words of affirmation. You know what I mean?
And it's funny that you say that because I've never been good at that either. And I don't know what would you say what my words of affirmation like to you now? Like how have I been to you? I feel like I'm pretty good with saying like I'm so proud of you and just like things like that.
Yeah, or when you like thank me for things, like I can tell you're really sincere about it or
And
um
I never used to be that way. And it wasn't honestly until I met Alexis, like my one best friend who passed away, but I met her in high school and just like watching the relationships and the interactions between like her and her mom or like when they would talk on the phone like, "Hi, how are you?" instead of, "Hi, can you do blah 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 blah," or like just have a conversation. Or I just remember so many times Alexis saying like, "I'm so proud of you, Sarah," or like things like that. And like that meant so much to me that like I've used that whole scenario to try to like outwardly like do it to other people too.
yeah, but now I'm kind of struggling because outside of a romantic relationship, I can't really think of examples on when I need to feel loved by other people. So I can't really think of how I would want that to look. Like with me and you, I can't think of a specific love language that I think you would need to show me because I already know you love me. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
what do I need? I don't need any proof of that. Like if we didn't spend time together, I would still know. If you didn't tell me you loved me, I would still know. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't think, yes, I know the love language is like how you show your love and like we know that we love each other, but it's just like one thing that I did for you that I know you bring up so many times is my act of service for you of turning on your shower.
I was just I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe mine is kind of acts of service then. Okay, it's like it's what helps you feel loved when someone does something and then you're like, "Wow, I feel loved." Not necessarily like you have to do that for me to know you love me. It's like when
Yeah.
you do something what makes me feel loved. And so maybe mine is acts of service with other people. I don't know.
So for me, I honestly feel like I'm like a combination of like a bunch, but like specifically me with a relationship, if I was with a guy, it would probably be like physical touch.
Yeah,
Or
that's mine too. That's so easy.
me with friends, just friends in general, not like best friends, is gift giving, I would say. My close friends are probably like acts of service or like quality time. Um, Mom to me, like my mom to me, is gift giving, and
Mhm.
hers is words of affirmation. So like she's always just giving me stuff, and then like if I give her anything or you give her anything, you know she's talking about it for days. Oh my god,
Yeah.
thank you so much for this. It just means the most and blah blah blah. And that annoys me, but I actively have to take it because I know by mom saying it and me it in, that's like her thing. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
confusing if you try to think about it too deep.
You know what? I just realized what mine is though, and I don't know if it falls into a category.
What?
My love language to know to receive love and know and feel loved is when I feel like people really know me. When I have this feeling like someone shows that they really know me and they understand me, that's when I feel most loved. So I think you turning on the shower for me so that I could do that was more of like helping. You knew that was what I needed to do my self-care. It wasn't necessarily an act of service. It was that you knew me. And like
Yes,
I
it
was
I knew what you needed at the time, so I like helped you.
Yeah, and one of the best examples I can think of in my friendships is when my friend so I'm not a surprise party person. I would never ever want a surprise party. And I also don't really care about my birthday. So I don't really care to do anything for my birthday. So I never plan anything for my birthday. I don't really do anything. I don't really care. But one of my friends invited me out to dinner for my birthday and she did it to Applebee's, which is so funny because, like, literally everybody hates Applebee's, but it was one of my favorite places. And she knew that. So she invited me out to dinner to Applebee's. I was like, oh, this is nice. Like, I get to go out to dinner with my best friend. And this was in Georgia. And I get there, I'm literally gonna cry. I get there and like I think her and then four of my really good friends in Georgia were all there. And they surprised me just going out to Applebee's for dinner. And that's not really like a surprise party. And she knew exactly who to invite that I actually cared about because I don't have a huge group of friends and I don't want people that I am not very close with there. She literally only invited the four people that I was closest with and they came and showed up and I had that little birthday dinner. And that was like one of the coolest things anyone's ever done for me because I was like, wow. I was like, when I think about I felt so loved. I felt so known and so cared about. And I think it was just the fact that she knew me. And that's not really an act of service to do that. That's not really words of affirmation. And it's not really quality time because it could have been without people. It could have been somebody doing something just for me. Like I think it's just the feeling of being known and the feeling that someone really knows me because I don't let a lot of people in very deeply and I don't let myself be known to a lot of people. I don't like to open up and be vulnerable. So I think when someone does really know me, that's what gets me.
Yeah. And that just I don't know, I feel like that opens up a whole nother can of worms too of like the different levels of like friendships and like relationships and stuff. Cause how many people would you say like actually know you?
3.
You don't have to list them like on the podcast, but
Well,
list
it's
them to
you.
me.
It's my best friend that you know who's my best friend, and it's my other very good friend,
Guy or girl?
Guy.
Okay. Yeah. That makes
Those 3
sense.
people, you and them 2, are probably the only people that actually truly know me on a deep level, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Cause I don't even let yeah, I don't talk about my emotions. I don't let myself open up. You 3 are like pretty much the only people I've ever done that with, you know?
Mhm. And it's so funny you say that because I feel like I'm the opposite, but not. Because you maybe like don't talk about your feelings all the time and all of this stuff, but like when I'm at work and like I'm talking like with my coworkers, there's not really much of like a, oh, I can't let them know that because like it's whatever. I'm pretty much just like an open book. But with me being an open book and people knowing like a lot about me, they don't know like deep down like a lot about me. Like I would probably say you, and then I had like two best friends, and I would say probably like you and my one like really close friend now are like the
Yeah.
only people who know me. And it makes me feel really good about that because like you were saying with just like the surprise party and your friend knew exactly what you needed. Like my one friend, she will like come to me with things or she'll be like, I'm talking to you about this because like I know you'll understand this. And then like she'll say something and I'm like, "Yup, we just like we are on the same level. Like I understand and we're there to fully like support each other like through those things." And
Yeah, and I just thought about another thing. It's because those people that you actually let get close to you, it's a two-way street. They also have to want to care about you and they also have to want to learn about that because you could let someone in that doesn't give a shit and they will never know you like that even if you did try to let them in. The other person actually has to put effort in to get to want to know you too because I can think of some people that maybe like you know or whatever that maybe you kind of tried to let in but like they don't know you as well because they don't care to put in that time to get to that level. You know what I mean? And I'm sure I've had people like that too that I can't think of right now. But that's
Does that
another part
bother
of it
you?
too. What does what bother me?
You trying to put an effort and it just not being reciprocated?
Like if I tried to let someone get to know me and they didn't care to,
Yeah.
I'm so closed off that I don't know if I've ever done that.
Cause I'm like actively like going through that right now with like
Yeah.
somebody and it's just like it hurts.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. And that's very painful. Yeah. I mean, if that did happen to me, I can't think of a scenario right now. I'm sure I've done it at some point in my life, but like even on a friendship level, even on a romantic level, if you're trying to be open with someone and you're trying to have that level with them and they don't care, then it's never going to get that way. So I think the other part of like feeling loved is because you know that person wanted to get to know you on that level and they were interested enough in you as a human to love you on that level. That's crazy to me. And like I'm okay that I only have a few people that do that, you know.
And I think that's what's gonna make things not easier, because I don't think dating is gonna be easy, but just like it's gonna be easier to know when you know.
Yeah,
And
and
it's and it's really
it gives
gonna
you
make you know when you know, I think.
yeah, you've experienced something before that you can compare it to that you know what you're looking for.
And also too, just like growing up and surrounding myself with the friends who I had and them being in like relationship after relationship after relationship. And yeah, I was jealous because like I never like I could have dated people if I wanted to, but that's not who I wanted to date, so I just didn't. But like also that shows a strong like self-respect and like standards from back earlier back then, and I was able to see the different types of relationships that my friends would go through. And I guess what I'm trying to say is it makes me sad that other people can't see how we can see with like relationships. And I don't want to say that we like know relationships or anything, but like we know what we're not going to put up with. And it's sad to see other people.
Well, yeah, but I think the thing is some people can do that by observation and some people need to experience it themselves to learn. So those people that some people need to date a lot of people and have a lot of shitty relationships in order to understand and learn what they want in a relationship. Some people like you have never been in a serious relationship, but you observe and you're able to see what you want based on what other people have experienced and so you know what you're looking for. But some people need to experience those themselves and it's fine to date around and but I mean it's probably more painful too, you know?
It's funny that you say that because growing up, I was always told by like mom, you're going to learn the hard way. You're going to learn the hard way. And that's me. I learn the hard way. I get myself into certain situations and yeah, I have to figure out how to creatively get myself out of them or whatnot. Nothing like legally or anything, but just like as a child, testing the boundaries and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that was definitely me. But I can see that whole scenario of some people have to just experience it themselves instead of taking advice that they're getting from other people or what they're just viewing around them and applying that to their relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and because I thought you were getting into like, oh, with dating, you were also going to learn the hard way, and I was like, no, but you did the opposite because
But
learning
I
the
did
hard way
that.
is
Yeah.
yeah,
And like I don't want to, because who knows with like if I do get married and how that's going to turn out and whatnot. But I hope with such high standards and everything that I'm looking for in somebody that they're going to want to change their last name for me, or we're going to have that level of respect to where I would change my name for them. And if I did
yeah.
that, that would be wild.
But you know what I just saw on TikTok that I really liked? It was someone saying it was basically like how you just said your husband would want to change his name for you. It's the kind of thing where these girls are hyping themselves up because they're like, if a guy is not texting back or he's making her anxious or whatever, she's just like she's fine and she just doesn't talk to him anymore because she's like my husband wouldn't do that to me. Because some people hold on
Yeah.
too long because they're like what if it's going to work out? What if this is my husband blah 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 blah. But if someone's making you feel that way, you can literally just tell yourself my husband wouldn't do that to me. Think about who you want your, or my partner. My partner wouldn't do that to me. Whoever I want to be with, my significant other for life, they would not treat me like that. So why am I dealing with that? And it makes it so easy to see what you're looking for, because would you want your future significant other to do that to you? You shouldn't have to beg someone to love you. You shouldn't have to, like, and we talk a lot about whenever we do get, into a relationship or something, you want someone that's going to know you well enough to, if you are looking at something in a store, but then you walk away from it because you didn't want to buy it, he surprises you with it the next week. Or he knows what your favorite coffee is and he brings it to you in a morning when you can't get out of bed. Or he knows that they just know
He
that's
knows
another thing
my
where,
period takes it all out of me, and he's gonna
and
be
they know
there to pick
exactly
me up.
what to do during that because they learn and they pay attention and they want to know you. I think
Yeah.
there's so many relationships where people are content in their relationships and they don't have that level of knowing each other where the person would even know what to do to cheer them up, or what kind of coffee they like, or what's their favorite meal, or anything like that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that you need to look for, is just someone that wants to know you on a deep level and that will do those things for you. Because it's like when you talk about love languages, okay, it's like someone could buy me something that I was looking at the store. It's not the act that they bought me a gift. It's the fact that they knew I wanted that and they cared enough to go surprise me with it. You know what I mean? It's not the gift itself. Or
Yeah.
like maybe they can see my ADHD overwhelm or my anxiety that the kitchen countertop is full of stuff, and they kind of notice me looking at it when I'm walking by and then just like sitting on the couch and being too overwhelmed by it. They're not going to be like, "Hey, when are you going to clean that counter?" They're going to clean the counter off, and when I walk by it next time, I'm literally going to smile because I'm going to be like, "Oh my god, like the counter's clean. That feels so good." And that's an act of service, but it's not necessarily the act of service that's the nice part. It's the
It's the
fact that they
thought
knew
behind
me.
it.
It's the thought. It's someone caring enough to think about you and
Mhm.
that's I think my love language.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly content taking care of myself until somebody working
Oh
hard,
yeah,
and
same. Like I
taking
said,
care
I
of
have
myself
no
until
desire to date or anything like that. So I'm fine, I'm fine
yeah.
without that too. But when I do have that eventually, it's going to be really nice.
It will be, and that's why, like, I don't know, I just have this mentality of, like, work hard now and then, like, it'll, like, pay off, like, in the future. Not necessarily, like, I won't have to do jack shit, but it'll mentally, it'll pay off,
Yeah.
I think, to have somebody, like, that just knows you and, like, lives in the house with you and, I don't know, co-live
Yeah,
together and
that's
whatnot.
so cool. That's
Mhm.
definitely a big thing. And then also with a significant other, it's definitely physical affection too, is like big for me.
Yeah.
But I'm not like that with anybody else. I'm not, physical affection is not my love language with literally anybody except my significant other.
Yeah, same.
Like I don't care about, I'm not really a big hugger. I don't care about anything like that.
Now, like, I'm a hugger, like, the all of, like, our family, I feel like you walk into a room and you have to hug everybody, but I was babysitting, a couple months ago, and I never really thought about me of, like, being a touchy-feely person.
Well,
They
yeah, we've talked about this on an episode before.
Oh, have we?
The kid was just like clinging to you
Oh,
all over.
yeah,
Yeah. But I
and
don't think that's not the same thing. That's not physical affection. You know what I mean? That's like
yeah,
overwhelm of someone,
yeah,
a child
overstimulation.
clinging to you, I think is different.
Yeah, but even, like, I've seen a few TikToks of just, like, moms miss their kids so much when they go to college, so they just wanna, like, be by them and just sit by them and look at them and just touch them and touch their hair and this and that,
Yeah.
and mom has those tendencies sometimes. Like, mom will
Yeah.
just, like, wanna just sit by me or have her hand on, like, my thigh or just, like, I don't know, and I'm just like, "Get away from me. That is not it, please."
Yeah, it's weird too because I have like sensory issues with things touching me and people touching me, but not with my significant other. Like I feel so bad a lot of the times. My mom's very talky with her arm, so she'll grab my arm and she'll say something, or she'll grab my shoulder, and I'm just like, "Stop it!" And I like am flinching away, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry," because I told her like I don't like the touch, but I think it's more of a sensory thing. It's like I just don't like stuff touching me.
Mhm, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
I had, like something to say, but I feel like this could probably be like a different episode like thing.
Yeah, what was it?
It was about like relationships, and I wouldn't say how you would structure them, but like I feel like there's two types of like relationships. There's one where like they co-live in a house together and they live two separate lives, and then they like have like planned family things like together and whatnot to like keep their house going around. But then there's other families who like I feel like the couples are like glued together and like everything is like done together. Do you know what I mean?
No, because how are you a couple if you just live your own life and then only are like roommates?
Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like stay at home moms, for example, when their husbands are like working from like dawn till dusk, and then they like get home after the babies are put to like bed and stuff like that. And there's just so many families out there where the husbands go away and work, and then the wives are at home, and they're like I don't know, they like see each
Yeah,
other
but
like at night.
everything I've seen from relationships like that, when the husband gets home and he's just too tired and wants to do his own thing and blah blah blah, then when do they ever get to spend time together? The woman's usually not very happy because she never gets to see her husband.
Right,
That's not
exactly.
healthy to me. If
It,
you never spend time together, that's crazy. I mean,
no,
I get that some people have to work like that, but I think working that much puts a huge strain on relationships. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, 100%. And I know a few people who have relationships like that right now. And I did see this like one couple, and they have like two kids or something, and they just have like these like date nights like every week, and they have like a little charcuterie date night, and this girl was so
Yeah.
excited to have this like canned fish sitting out on her porch on a charcuterie board with her husband. And like
Canned
it
fish? What do
yeah,
you
it's
mean?
like
Like
I don't
sardines?
no, it's, like, not like sardines, it's, like, salmon with, like, basil and oil, and
Oh,
it's, like,
okay, that
high
makes a
class,
lot
like,
more
canned
sense.
fish. But, yeah, before when she was saying canned fish, I was like, "Ugh," but, like, she was like, "Yeah,
They
we
made
ne"
it fancy with the charcuterie.
Right, and she's like, "We never get to sit on our front porch, so if we got to do that for 30 minutes and just talk." I'm like, "That" like, I really
That's
think
healthy.
yeah, to set aside
Yeah.
time like that. And, I wouldn't want to be with I would wanna be with my significant other, like, as much as I can, but like I wouldn't want to be with them all day every day. And I think a lot of families now, not a lot of families, but some family nowadays, like especially on TikTok, they're all doing things on social media now. So they're all at home together. And so they're always filming together. And I guess maybe that's what I'm seeing of like them just consistently like being together. That doesn't give you the same
Well,
thing
no, I
as like
don't think
going out
that's
on a
healthy
date.
either.
Yeah.
You have to have a balance. You have to have your own things, whether it's going to the gym without them or having your own hobbies or going for a walk with your friends or going out with your friends, or
Right.
you have to have time apart too. I think it's all about a balance.
Yeah. Hmm. I don't know. I feel like with my ADHD, I'm so 0 or 100 that just finding a happy medium for like everything is so difficult. Like I feel like when I become a mom, I'm just going to want to like do everything. Do the contact naps, do everything for my kids up until they turn 18. But that's not setting them up for success. So I need to hold back on some of the things that I want to do just to like spoil my kids, to let them like do it for themselves, because I want them to be I don't want them to grow up the same way I grew up, but I want them to be like coped with skills to be able
Well,
to
I
like
think
go
that's where
out.
balance comes in too, with the other parent, hopefully, is in the picture of the kids' lives and they can be a good balance for you. You know, like if one parent struggles with good discipline, hopefully the other parent can help a little bit with that. Or if one parent struggles with, I don't know, like teaching, because you have to educate kids on a lot of stuff. And some people just know everything. Like kids will ask questions and they can actually explain everything. I hope I find someone like that. Well, I'm not that I want kids, but like, you know, I think there's just always a balance. And hopefully you can find someone that balances you out enough to where your kids get the best of both worlds, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Scary being a parent and you're not
And
even
you
a
have to
parent.
practice balance too, because if you're trying to do like 24/7 everything for your kids all the time, that's how people get burnt out and that's how people get depressed. And that's really not
That's
healthy.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you can practice now, practice having a balance and not getting burnt out and recognizing your body's signs to where you're overwhelmed and what you can do to regulate that. And, you practice
Yeah.
now when you don't have kids or anything.
Right, because, like, so for example, me with all this curriculum stuff, there's still so much work to be done with it of just, like, planning and meticulous stuff and all of that. So, like, yesterday, I took my medicine at, like, 10, and Megan, I kid you not, I was working from 10 to 10 on
Oh my
all
God.
of my curriculum stuff, writing out papers, doing this, just, like, taking a few mental breaks and then coming back to it, and it's like I knew, like, after 3 or 4 times of coming back to it that I should not have been doing it, but I'm just like, "Nope, I'm gonna power through, I'm gonna power through," and I need to change that power through mentality. It's good to
Well,
power through sometimes, but not all the time.
maybe you need to make a set of rules for yourself. Like if you're having a very productive day, make rules about how many breaks you have to take, how many hours of breaks you have to take, what hours you're allowed to do this hyper focus work until, because 10 p.m. is crazy. And then, you have to set aside an hour to go outside and you have to set aside, maybe make some rules for yourself to help avoid burnout.
Yeah, I like that idea. Just, like, a few baselines of I like the time outside and whatnot. That'll probably have
Yeah.
to be bug sprayed and then shower after that.
I think that's all we have for you guys today. So thanks for joining us for another episode, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.